In the last video, and two before that, you learned how to use direct and indirect object pronouns. Now, instead of just simple sentences like I buy food, you can say I buy it or I buy food for him. I buy food is compro comida. I buy it is lo compro, and I buy food for him is le compro comida. If any of that doesn't make sense to you, like the difference between lo and le, go back and watch the videos called direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns. This lesson will make a lot more sense if you understand those lessons. And of course, you already know present tense conjugation of verbs, right? I buy, compro. I talk, hablo. I finish, termino. I like, me gusta? How come it's not gusto? Let's double check this. Okay, I like is me gusta. Google says it right here, and you've probably heard that many times if you've studied Spanish for more than a second. Let's try something else. You buy, compras. You talk, hablas. You finish, terminas. You like, te gusta? What is going on? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. Verbs like gustar. Hola, soy Jordan, and this is a Spanish Quickie. Fast, easy Spanish lessons from somebody who speaks your language. Pretty much every Spanish class and every Spanish book or course has a section or chapter called Verbs like gustar, which explains why me gusta means I like, not gusto. Then obviously gives you other verbs that are supposedly like gustar. I don't know how it started. One just followed the other, groupthink, I don't know, but I don't like it. And after 15 years, I never really understood why gustar was so weird. I just got used to it. Part of the problem was most of the other verbs they claimed were like gustar just didn't seem the same. They seemed normal to me. Like aburrir, that means to bore. You'll often see that presented with gustar. But when I see a statement like me aburre, I correctly assume that it means it bores me or he bores me. It's not weird at all. Another word often presented with gustar is interesar, which means to interest. But when I see a sentence like la película te interesa, I again correctly assume it means does the movie interest you? Not so weird. There is something technical going on that makes those words like gustar, but that similarity isn't the reason gustar is so weird. That's obvious, right? Aburrir isn't weird. It works just like it does in English. It bores me. Me aburre. Interesar isn't so weird. It works just like it does in English too. It interests me. Me interesa. But I like it. Me gusta? Not so much. To understand what's truly going on here and why gustar is so weird, it's important you know how the dictionary works. That might sound strange, but to be completely honest, I didn't really know myself until fairly recently. I wish I had. It would have saved me lots of time, energy, and embarrassing moments. Remember way back in Fun with Words, you saw the word they use for speed is velocidad? I brought this up when we talked about friends, false friends, and times you have to look for your friend. So if you type speed into Google Translate, it'll tell you the equivalent in Spanish is velocidad. Okay, so what's velocity then? It's also velocidad. You see, there's no direct translation for speed in Spanish, so instead of just saying no translation, the dictionary tells us it's velocidad. But that doesn't mean that speed equals velocidad. That's not how dictionaries work. The dictionary is saying when we say speed in English, they say velocidad in Spanish. See what's going on? In reality, words don't mean words. Words are translations from thoughts. So I have a thought, translate it to a word in English, and say it. Then the person I'm talking to takes that word and translates it into a thought. When there are two languages being used, I translate my thought into a word in English, then the person I'm talking to translates that word into a word in Spanish, then finally back into a thought. You with me? That's how words work. Speed and velocity are so close in meaning, I personally couldn't tell you the difference, that it's a perfect match. The speed of the car, the velocity of the car, la velocidad de la coche. Perfect. But sometimes it's not so perfect, and gustar is a good example. If you type in I like, you see it's me gusta, which we already talked about as weird. The way we learn verb conjugation, it should be just gusto. You take off the AR R and add an O. Here's what's going on. Gustar is not a direct translation of like, just like speed is not a direct translation of velocity. Gustar really means to be pleasing to. There is no direct translation for like in Spanish. The word just doesn't exist, just like the word for speed doesn't exist. So when Google Translate tells us I like is me gusta, it's not saying I like is equal to me gusta. It's saying when we say I like in English, they say me gusta in Spanish, which really means it's pleasing to me. So if you look at that statement again, me gusta, you can start to see what's going on. Me gusta doesn't mean I like. Me gusta means it's pleasing to me. Now the conjugation and use of indirect object pronoun makes sense. It's pleasing. Gusta, to me. Me gusta. It's pleasing to me. When we say I like in English, they say it's pleasing to me in Spanish. It's that simple. Speed and velocity are both used the same way, so it's not weird, but like and to be pleasing to are used differently, so it seems weird. It's a translation problem, nothing more. Aburrir, which most Spanish teachers claim is like gustar, and it is, but not in the troublesome way, doesn't seem weird to us because we use to bore the same way in English. It bores me, me aburre. Same with interesar. It interests me, me interesa. But I like doesn't exist. We have to say it's pleasing to me. Once we accurately translate gustar, it's much clearer why it works the way it does. It's pleasing to me, me gusta. Boom! So bottom line, with most of the words like gustar, don't worry too much about them. Just know the vocabulary and use them as you would in English. With gustar specifically, just practice. Fortunately, almost always it'll just be gusta or gustan. Very rarely will you hear or need to use the other forms like gusto, gustas, and gustamos. Check it out. I like it, me gusta. You like it, te gusta. Remember, that's really it's pleasing to you. He likes it, le gusta. It's pleasing to him. We like it, nos gusta. You both like it, os gusta. They like it, les gusta. So anytime the thing being liked or that's pleasing is singular, you use gusta. You just change the indirect object pronoun. Then if you like more than one thing or more than one thing is pleasing, you use gustan. So I like them is me gustan. That's really they're pleasing to me. You like them is te gustan. He likes them is le gustan. We like them is nos gustan. You both like them is os gustan. They like them is les gustan. I really suggest practicing this, then forgetting about it. It's really easy because me gusta and te gusta are very common. You'll pick this up really quickly. And once you do, it won't be hard to spot other verbs that really are like gustar. They're weird because they don't have perfect translations. One of the most common verbs that works the same way as gustar and is just as confusing at first is encantar. Encantar is what they say for love in some cases. I'll give you an example in a minute, but technically it means to enchant. So if you like to eat, you could say me gusta comer, which really means eating is pleasing to me. But if you love to eat, you could say me encanta comer, which really means eating is enchanting to me, but basically means I love eating. It might sound funny, but that's what they say. And if you think about it, saying you love to eat like you love your mom is pretty weird too. Encantar is used for things usually. Amar is better for loving people. Just like with gustar, you'll tend to only use the forms encanta when you love one thing and encantan when you love two things. I love it is me encanta. I love them is me encantan. You love it is te encanta. You love them is te encantan. We love it is nos encanta. We love them is nos encantan. Once you know how to use gustar pretty well, it's not hard to use the words like gustar. You just have to know they work the same way. Just like it's easy to say me encanta once you know how to say me gusta. So when this video's over in a minute, I want you to go to the link on the screen right now and below this video, download the practice worksheet I made for you and do it. When you're done with that, you'll know how to use gustar and encantar pretty well. So when you encounter words like them in the future, you'll understand what's going on and how to deal with them. It's a translation issue, nothing more. That's it for this time. I'll see you next time. Hasta luego. Adios, amigo.